Good afternoon and welcome. We're back here in the virtual studio. Oh, well, Nick, it's a great show lined up today. We've been shouting out all week about our amazing guests that will be joining us in the show. Nick, what's been happening in your world? We talked about Weetabix and baked beans last week. Did you manage to get round to buying your Weetabix and your baked beans and having them for breakfast?
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure how I got pushed into being the Weetabix and beans trial person. However, I am ready. I'm ready to go. But I'm saving and savoring the magic because we've got a bit of information for our lovely audience.
Yes, we'll share that later. Let's keep people hooked and engaged. Yeah, some great news that's coming later on in the show. So, Nick, what's in the news? What's been happening this week? Or what's going to be happening very soon? I think is the big question, really, to be asking.
Yes, there does certainly tends to be a bit more optimism out there. Things seem to be moving. Sort of conversations I've been having. There's a shift, right? And that shift is very much to do with the roadmap. And the next major stage is just around the corner. April the 12th, the next stage of the restrictions being lifted, which means a lot for a lot of local businesses. It means a lot for anyone who's walking around with a 1970s haircut. There's a lot of excitement for those things that we took for granted, which we never should have done. But some of the restrictions going to be lifted means some big changes coming.
Yeah, the ease of COVID is approaching fast. And as Nick just said, April the 12th, Monday morning, non-essential retail can start to open up its doors from 7 o'clock in the morning. And what's more interesting, I think, is that they're going to be allowed to stay open till 10 o'clock at night, Monday through till Saturday, obviously back to Sunday trading hours for the Sunday itself, which means that those have got their haircut booked. Congratulations, you're at the front of the queue. I wonder who will be in the barber's seat at 7 o'clock in the morning. But it means obviously there's a lot more hours in the day to be able to book your appointment, go and have a hair trimmed before you go and buy yourself a new three-piece suit, before you pop down the pub for your pint of ale at 11 o'clock in the morning. Who will be sitting and propping up the bar for the whole day? Of course, no substantial meal required on this occasion, but it will be a little bit chilly probably outside. I think there's snow forecast for next week as well in some areas. So you might be outside having your pint of John Smith's or whatever ale is your fancy, whatever drink is your fancy, but you might need a big thick jumper and a coat, of course.
Yeah, we'll be really interested to hear from you. What are you looking forward to most? What's the first thing you're going to be doing? Are you going to be banging on the retail shops doors at 7 o'clock on Monday morning? Or are you just so excited that you've got a table booked on one of the pubs that's got a lovely garden? Are you the most popular person in your group because you're the one who managed to book a table for dinner or for drinks? What is it? What have you really missed over the last far too many months? Great news for retail. Finally going to be able to open their doors. The non-essential staff shops allowed to open. Great also for the close contact services. So anyone who's missed the gym, anyone who's missed the spa, anyone who's desperate to get a haircut. It seems a bit harsh for the staff having to work till 10 o'clock, but I imagine there's going to be huge demand. It'd be great to hear from you. Just shout. What are you looking forward to? What have you missed more than anything?
Yeah. And just imagine actually that, you're opening up as a retail outlet, so let's just say use that as an example, and you're bringing back your furloughed staff that have been on extended annual leave, let's put it that way, and they come back and now they've got to work from 7 till 10. I'm sure that's not going to be the case. I'm sure that it will be rotated and scheduled, and obviously you'll be working fair hours and having plenty of rest time and stuff like that. But it's going to be, quite a big change for some. They've been off for quite a number of months on, potentially full pay or certainly 80% of their pay, and now they're going to come back and going to have to earn a crust. They're going to have to go to work to earn their money. I mean, what's all that about? We're all quite happy sitting at home with our feet up watching Netflix or whatever's on the TV. But no, you've got to go back to work now, and you've got to go and cut hair or serve food or, whatever that's going to be. So interesting times are coming next week. But do you know what? I'm looking forward to it. Most of you know I've spent a lot of time in Spain over the coming months. I'm back in the UK now, back on terra firma, and it's nice to be back on home ground. But since I got back, I've been locked down. I had to isolate, as you do the 2 and 8 tests and stuff like that, make sure you're COVID free, and fingers crossed I was and will remain so as well. But I'm looking really forward to getting back out there. I haven't been down a high street for I don't know how long, months, a long time. So just to go and walk around and do a bit of peering through windows, maybe a bit of window shopping, or go and buy something, because I haven't managed to spend too much money over the last year either.
That's a really good point, right? The amount of money that people have saved, is it going to be free and easy, right? We're going to go into the shops a little bit like it's the day before Christmas and just spend. The government certainly thinks so. The growth forecasts are pretty buoyant, and I think people just want to get out. There's certainly a sense, certainly the businesses I've spoken to this week, there's a real sense that we're communicating so differently online, and it's very difficult to build relationships, certainly new relationships online. There's a shift, and I think there's still a lot of work to be done to how do we get back into the frame of rebuilding those relationships face to face. It's going to be a tough few months ahead, but I think there is chinks of light at the end of that tunnel. Certainly in the retail space, desperately needed. Lovely kind of breath of fresh air almost for the high street. So yeah, go support your high street. Go spend all that money that you've not had a chance to spend. Spend big, right? We told you so. Go spend big.
Spend local, go out there and help and support your local high streets. I think that's a good place to start. So Nick, just out of interest, what are you looking forward to? What's at the top of your list? I mean, your hair's looking good, so it's not going to be a haircut.
Well, my lovely wife looks after my hair, and she has done throughout lockdown. There is a haircut Saturday, but that's my lovely wife taking care of that. I'm looking forward to sitting in a pub garden, and just talking nonsense with my mates, and just enjoying a beer outside.
Now I'm back also in the UK, and we're not too far apart from each other. Maybe we can go and book an outside table when it's not snowing and I haven't got to wear a thick coat and a woolly jumper, and we can enjoy a beer together. And we can probably invite our guests along too, who will be joining us on the show very shortly. I'm sure they would also welcome a nice cold pint outside and hopefully sunshine. What we're also looking for, what are you looking forward to? Let us know. Pop it in the chat box, into the comments. Let us know what you are looking forward to starting as the pandemic eases and we see restrictions eased as well. And of course, if you want to be on this show, like our guests coming up are today, we'd encourage you. You can go to uni.co.uk and go on there and click on Uni TV, and you can actually fill in a form and tell us a little bit about yourself and come and join us on the show. We'd welcome you with open arms. We're looking for people certainly for our May show, but we've got some exciting news coming, which we'll share with you shortly. But I think, Nick, what we need to do now is get ourselves ready for our first guest, who's going to be coming on here and talking a little bit about business, absolutely, social media, because that is their business. It's all about digital marketing and social media, and traditional marketing comes into play as well. But before we do that, I think we just have a quick ad break, and then we welcome our guest onto the show. And here he is. It's Mr. Richard Pond from Richard Pond Marketing. Good afternoon, Richard, and thanks for joining us.
How are we doing?
Very good, very good. Richard, how are you, more importantly?
I'm really well, actually. Yeah, I am. I haven't got a lot of hair, but I am waiting for the Monday 7 o'clock get to the barbers for a beard trim and a little bit of hair that I'm holding on to be cut even further. So, yeah, no, all good. Thanks, Nick. Yeah.
Good.
I assume, Richard, it's the Turkish barbers then. If you're going for a beard trim as well, haircut, is it a hot towel and, is it the full? Is it going to be the full work?
Yeah.
Ear wax, ear cleaning, dehair in.
Yeah. I did make a mistake last time, though, of going for a nose wax, which I would never suggest to anybody that's watching this, male or female, that wants to take them up on putting wax up your nose and putting it. It was one of the worst experiences that I've ever had at barbers. So, yeah, I would stick to the hot towel and the haircut and the rough chop on the neck. But yeah, that will be me on Monday at some point.
And are you going to be venturing out into a beer garden or something similar for a small tipple? Maybe not during the day, because I know you're going to be working, which we'll come on to what you do for working.
Yeah,
more detail.
Yeah, it will be. It will be. I have actually got full day booked on Monday in meetings, but the afternoon I think there may be a beer garden that gets visited just to check that they're all right and the pumps are working and all of that. So it's we will see. I'll keep you informed.
Absolutely. And as I said to Nick a minute ago, we're going to do a meet up there. You know, you're sort of over the other side of Essex to us, over in the Chelmsford area, or not far from Chelmsford. So we maybe have to find a shindig to all meet up and share a beer at some point. Bit silly though, booking customers in, on a Monday. Why would you book customers in on a Monday when you could have gone down and had a beer? Maybe you should move your meeting to the beer garden. I don't know.
Yeah, that has been looked at.
The business, Richard. Tell us a little bit more about Richard Pond, your journey to date, how you got into digital marketing, and not only digital marketing. I know you do a lot of strategy planning and marketing planning with your customers, but tell us a little bit more about that journey and how you got to where you are.
So I think like everybody, I mean, most people that have got a career, a job, haven't gone the way they thought when they left school. There's not many people that say, I want to be an accountant, a plumber, a blah, blah, blah. You generally fall into your job. And I know that people that are watching this will be probably nodding their heads along at the same time, because most people do. They fall into the job. I actually left school and I was a greenkeeper. So that was my first role. I actually had 3 jobs when I left school. I worked as a greenkeeper, was my main in the YTS, the pre-apprentice role. Which I did. I did that for a number of years. But while I was doing that, I was working at a garden centre at the weekend to top the money up. And then in the evenings, I was working for Auto Trader, the car magazine. So at an early age, I was working 3 jobs. But they didn't, to me, a lot of the jobs, I've never seen work as work. And, we've known each other, us 3, for a long time now. And you guys are very similar to me in the sense of, we love what we do. I always think of, I don't like the term work-life balance. I like the term life balance. So, if I'm got to do a project in the evening or a weekend, it's not, I've got to go to work. It's just part of what I do. And I think if you love what you do, then you don't see it as work. And I think I've always been a worker in that sense. So I was working at the garden centre and the golf course, and then working for Auto Trader doing telesales in the evening. And then I wasn't really enjoying the golf course side of things. I liked it. The money was poor in comparison of what I would like to have earned. And it was, I'm not a morning person. Now, for somebody that's run business networking events at silly o'clock, worked as a greenkeeper that starts at 6 o'clock, I've picked some bad choices being not a morning person. But certainly when you're in your late teens, getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go and rake bunkers and cut grass is not a great ideal. And one morning I'd probably been out the night before, testing out a beer garden somewhere. And I decided to have a little nap, just a 5-minute nap under one of the bridges of the golf course, just to kind of, what we call a power nap, what I didn't realise was I'd fell asleep for quite a long time. And I got woken up by the head greenkeeper poking me with the rake I was supposed to be raking the bunkers, telling I'm not a troll and I shouldn't be sleeping under a bridge. And it was at that point I decided it's probably not the right career path for me. So I sat down and I looked at what my skill sets were. And at that point, cutting grass and raking bunkers didn't give you a lot of skill set. But what I did have was the sales work I was doing with Auto Trader in the evening. I was working 5 nights a week, 3 hours a night, phoning people up, and I was pretty good at it. I was good at talking to people, I was good at booking appointments. all of my friends at the time were working in London. So I thought, well, I could go and work in London, but what skills have I got? There's not many bunkers to rake in the city. So I'll look at my skill set of the sales. So I took the sales skills and I managed to get a job in a print company that specialised in marketing, direct mail. And at that time, in the late 90s, I know I don't look old enough, but in that time, in the late 90s, email was just coming into business and direct mail was quite big. All the junk you got through the post, and you can remember it was a lot back in the day. But what was coming out was this cross-media marketing, which is where you took one message and you'd get a printed document with your name, so it was what's called variable data. So it'd have, hi David, hi Nick. Everyone would be different. It might, if it was for Jaguar, it might have a picture of a car with your number plate on it and things like that. But you'd also, alongside that, get an email come through and a text message. So you've got this kind of three-pronged attack, and it would take you down this path. And it was really quite new back there, but it was called cross-media marketing. And that's where I kind of specialised. And I worked my way up through the companies that I worked with until one day I got a really big contract from the Daily Mail to produce a astrology book. And that's kind of how I got into running businesses, because I project managed this big project. It was a good few £100,000 job at the time for the company I was working for. But I got a nice juicy commission check. So being 24, 25 at the time, instead of going and spending it on holidays and what most 24, 25-year-olds would do with a large, 5-figure check, I decided to set up my own business and use that money as the startup costs. And I bought some printing machinery and started to do it on a smaller scale myself. Then 2008 came, and people decided that we're in this, this crash that we had. We don't want to print anything anymore because now the internet was really getting strong. So basically, I shut that business down. It wasn't becoming profitable. I actually went back up into the city for 6 months. But after running a company for a few years, I knew that having a boss and running that wasn't the right thing. So I moved into doing purely marketing and events and speaking, and kind of just got to grips more of understanding the marketing. I'd always been in it from, say, the late 90s for 10 years in certain areas of marketing, but I kind of went out there and I learned from the gurus and the people out there that were really, in America, really leading the way, the Ryan Dices and from the public speaking people like Tony Robbins and meeting people like you guys and working with David on the public speaking side, because I couldn't talk. That was one of the biggest things. I was great sitting at a table, chatting to people. I couldn't talk in front of an audience. And, I worked with David on some public speaking and got the confidence out there, and then took that to talking at business shows in front of 400 people and things like that. So developing my skills was a big thing. And then really getting to understand what I like doing, which was getting to grips with people's strategy and understanding why we do things, which leads in very well what you do, Nick, is the kind of the communication and the understanding of why we do things, and Nick's hate of social media and
his love of
understanding the strategy side of things. So I went into the strategy, running a marketing business alongside an events business. We used to put big networking events, and that was kind of going where we wanted it to go until personal tragedy came in. So unfortunately, my daughter was born very, very ill. I had to spend good 6 months in intensive care, which related to 14 surgeries over a good number of 3 years. And I had to basically shut the business down, stop what I was doing. But that gave me a massive thinking time of what I want to do with my businesses and my career going forward. And it was really understanding, getting to grips with the strategy of companies. So instead of having a bigger company with employing lots of people, went out alone and started building up, individual clients that I'd work with to really strategize and get my knowledge of what I'd learned, and continually learning the different things that are going on, and getting those strategies and putting funnels in place for people. So, the biggest thing that most entrepreneur business owners do is throw mud at the wall and hope some sticks. That is 99%. And when you think about the SME market, the small to medium-sized enterprise, that is 95% of UK businesses at a minimum are under 50 employees, and their strategy is throw them out of the wall and hope some sticks. And what I mean by that is they do marketing stuff and they hope some of it works, but they don't quite know what works because they don't measure anything. They don't really have any plan. They just think, oh, I haven't done a Facebook post this week, I better put something up. And they'll do an Instagram post and a tweet, and they'll put something out on LinkedIn, and they might send a MailChimp email. And at the end of the month, they hope they've got enough money in the bank to pay their bills and take their husband or wife out for dinner. And that's not running a business. That's having a crappy job. That's having a job that doesn't pay you very well and gives you lots of stress. So what I tried to instill into my clients is to have a thought out marketing plan that can be measured so that you can sit back at the end of the month, see what works, do more of that stuff, see what hasn't worked and cut that stuff off, or improve it. So if the stuff that's not working is, you do it better so it starts to work, or if it doesn't work, then drop that side and do more or worse. And you'll find by doing that, your business starts to grow. And that's what I enjoy doing. That and selling my knowledge through online products and courses and things like that, which allows me to have coaching programs to help multiple business owners grow their business. So in a very 11-minute nutshell, that's been poked under a bridge to helping businesses grow.
That's been the last, I was going to say 40 years. Well, not quite, but somewhere around that figure. I don't know exactly your age, but you talk about starting out.
I know I'm going thin, but I'm not 56-year-old thin. So,
yeah. No, I'm not suggesting you are, but your life cycle.
That's a 25-year, 25-year breakdown in 12 minutes. So yeah.
You delivered it well. Delivered it well, Rich. And it makes a lot of sense, right? There'll be a lot of businesses viewing, thinking, you know what, he's speaking quite a bit of sense there, because I'm doing a load of marketing, or I think I am, but I have no idea. I haven't got the focus or the clarity required to know what parts of that marketing are working, what's the good bits, what isn't. And I guess a lot of businesses will have a go, because it's not difficult to set up a Facebook page and chuck stuff on it and try and grow their following organically. And then there'll be other businesses, perhaps a bit more savvy, that will either take advice or pay for, let's say, Facebook advertising. Do you have any preference or any advice for that business saying, you know what, I don't really want to spend too much money on Facebook ads, but I'm trying to grow it organically, and only my relatives are tuning in?
Yeah, I mean, I think one of the biggest advice is to find a platform that you enjoy being on. I think that's the biggest thing, because so many business owners that I speak to hate Facebook, and they hate Facebook with a passion, or they really don't like LinkedIn, or they don't like YouTube, or any of the other things around it. So don't use a platform you don't like. I always say, look, you obviously got to match up with where your customers are, right? And understand. We talk a lot about in marketing, a customer avatar is who your perfect customer is. And I always suggest to people is to write down a sheet of who they are. So the easiest way to do that is to pick your best 20 clients and look at who they are. So what's their age, sex, income range, where they hang out, what they enjoy doing, and you'll see patterns. You'll see lots of patterns. Everybody does. Most people always say to me, "Oh, my clients are everywhere," but they're not. They are very similar. And if your client is a 21-year-old male or female, then they're going to be more likely to be on TikTok than they are going to be on LinkedIn. So you've got to kind of go over that way. But if you love Instagram, do Instagram, because everybody's on it. If you love Facebook, do Facebook, because everybody's on it. It's only if you're really targeting, highly, like if you're only targeting solicitors or accountants, you may want to really push onto LinkedIn. If you are, sorry,
your accountants, solicitors not on TikTok. I mean, it's up and coming platform.
They are. Everybody's on TikTok, even if you don't want to.
I'm not. I haven't got to that. I'm not as trendy and cool as I used to be, and I'm not.
I've known you 10 years and you've never been trendy or cool, so I don't know where that one's from. But
get yourself on TikTok, David. What are you saying now?
the idea is to understand where your market hangs out. So that's one thing. The other thing is to hang out where you like hanging out, and try and find somewhere in between if they don't match. Once you've done that and you understand who your market is, just get out there and try and help people and be honest and put yourself out there. Trying to sell too much is not going to do you too much good. Get out there, join some groups, interact, be part of it, but try not to do too much. I mean, we have a strategy. We look after me and my team look after about 40 or 50 people's marketing as far as their Facebook pages and stuff that they do. And we'll put one post out a week, but we'll do a lot with that post. So we'll share it into groups, we'll interact. And I had a strategy call with a client today that was putting stuff out every day. And I was like, less is more. In fact, if you can get one post that engage really well, Facebook's algorithms will favor that and show your post to more people. If you're just putting stuff out there that nobody's seeing, Facebook will not show it to people because they'll think the content lacks authenticity. They'll think it's, non-engaging content. So it won't get shown to people anyway. So less is more. So that will please you, Nick, that you don't have to do lots. You can do a little bit. But when you do stuff and when you do put stuff out there, think about it. So instead of just chucking something onto Facebook or Instagram, instead of doing it every day, spend that amount of time in one day, but get a really good post out there that's engaging, that's asking questions. Engagement is the key. So if people are engaging with your post and it's not just sell, Facebook will show it to more people. And it's as simple as that. If you need to have a structure to your post, so things like I always put in a headline with a space, because one of the things I always tell to anybody that I'm training or working with is a social media post is like going to the petrol station and filling up your car with petrol. And everyone always kind of looks a bit confused by that. But when you fill up your car with petrol, unless you're paying at the pump and you're going to the shop, this is for the shop walkers, not the pump payers. But when you walk to the shop, everybody does the same thing. Before you open the door of the petrol station, you look at the papers that are by the door. They're put by the door for you to browse them and pick them up. And they're all newspaper headlines. So you're going to pick up the Sun, the Times, whatever it is. They've always got an engaging picture. It's the first thing. Your eye goes to the picture. If you like the picture, you go to the headline. If you like the headline, you buy the paper. Now, that is the same on a Facebook, Instagram post. You see the picture, it makes your eyes go to the headline. If you like the headline, you read the content. If you like the content, you click effectively buying the paper. So if you can structure your posts like that, it gives you a really good kind of benchmark grounding of where to go. So that's my tip of constructing a post. But then when you've done the post, don't expect, I've built it, people will come. That's not the way it is. Do something with that post. Share it into the local Facebook groups. Ask people to comment, within the post. Because the more comments you have, if you share the post into a Facebook group and it's got 30,000 members, the average time of that post, it stays at the top is 2 minutes. If someone comments, it pushes it back to the top. So if you have a post that's got an engagement feature and people are commenting, you go to the top and then a larger percentage of those 30,000 members will see it. And that will take your reach from being 200 to 2,000 quite quickly. And if it's got a good call to action, a link to your website or another way of engaging, then you're going to go, your posts are going to get seen by a lot more people and your business will grow. And you haven't got to do too much. You haven't got to get out there every day. You just got to think about it.
Yeah, really interesting. I mean, social media, there is an art. I always say for any profession, there's an art. So, whether you're a cable installer, putting in cables, everyone say, well, I can pull a cable and make it look, make it work. But there's an art in everything you do. If you're a painter and decorator, you're a builder, you're a social media expert, a business consultant, you have your knowledge, your skills, and you can educate others and share that with others. So kind of to wrap up our chat here, Richard, we have to get you back because there's so much more I want to talk about as well. I know we're not going to have time for networking because I know you're a networking guru. Certainly when we were out, able to be in the real world, you used to run lots of networking events and lots of other events as well. So it'd be really good maybe to get you back on the show and talk about those events, stuff like that.
Anytime.
But to kind of wrap up, really, kind of your final thoughts, a top tip for people out there. You know, we're returning back to a kind of a bit of normality. What do you think people should be considering about kind of getting their business? And we were talking about the retail and the high street and going down the pub and having a haircut and stuff like that. But if you could give one single piece of advice, a tip now, what would that be? Bit on the spot, I know. Apologies for that.
Yeah, sure. So I think one of the things is video. Video is, is how we consume content. You know, if people ask me about what do I think of their blog, or should I do a blog, I always say, well, unless you're doing it purely for SEO purposes, if you're doing it to get out there, don't do it, because people don't consider. When was the last time you read a blog? You know, people are listening to podcasts, watching videos, watching YouTube. So make sure you've got video content. But the biggest thing to take away from that is that 85% of videos are watched without captions. Are watched without sound, so put captions on. Because people watch a video in bed with their partner, on the train, while second screening while the telly's on, and things like that. So if you're going to do content, again, think about what your avatar consumes, but video would be my number one, with captions, because then you get 100% of the market, not 15% of the market. So yeah, there's plenty I could go on all day, but I'm sure guest number 2, Nigel, won't want to discuss his things with you. So we'll leave it at number 1 tip, and next time I come back, I'll think of it at number 2 tip. So.
Brilliant. No, that's great, Richard. And thank you very much for coming along today. Nigel has just arrived in our backstage green room, so we'll be bringing him onto the show very, very soon. But yeah, Rich, it's been great to see you. I'm hoping we will get the opportunity to catch up for that, rather than a virtual beer, a real life beer or a cup of coffee. You're paying, by the way. It's got to be your shout probably this time.
I think it probably is, actually. Yeah. Perhaps we could find a barber's that has a bar. A bar.
That's the future. That is the future. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like it.
Brilliant. Richard, great to see you. We'll catch you again very soon.
See you soon.
Wow, that was great. Great to see Richard again. I've known him for many years, actually. We've run some events in the past together. I know you've been involved as well, Nick. We've done it as this is going to sound wrong. We've done it as a threesome.
Yes.
And we had some really good times in venues, in theatres and stuff like that, putting on some great networking sessions and great meetups and webinars. Obviously, in the real world, we call them seminars. Got so used to the webinar wording now. But that was great to catch up with Richard. And Nigel's sitting there in our back room. But before we bring Nigel on, should we talk about what's coming, Nick, next week?
Oh, yes.
Because Nick and I, we've been working pretty hard at kind of taking this show to the next level, reaching out, trying to gain more followers like we do on social media, on the likes of Facebook, YouTube, etc. And there might be someone out there with the magic potion, that silver bullet, to tell us how to do it, but it's tough. And we wondered whether it's the timing, once a week we like to do, we can give that time. So what we've decided, we're going to try some different time slots and see if we can get different viewers, different engagement, different feedback, and people kind of engaging more. So next Thursday, rather than that 4 to 5 slot, which we've been doing since the beginning of this year, we're going to move it. Yes, that's it. Nick and I are going to go to the morning show. So it's Nick and Dave on the morning show at 8 o'clock next Thursday morning. And look at that. There was a challenge for anyone that's joining us, wasn't here last week, but I said to Nick,
man.
We were talking about the Weetabix and Heinz Baked Bean Challenge. And we wasn't sure, actually, if it was an April Fool's. And we looked it up. And actually, this started off back in February time. So we kind of concluded it wasn't an April Fool's. So I dared Nick live on the show to go out and get his Heinz Baked Beans and his Weetabix and his bean shopping. But then when Nick and I were talking backstage before we come on the show today, I said, "No, Nick, we're doing the morning show next week. What we're going to do is that you're going to have that for your breakfast." And what did you say, Nick?
Can't really say it on air. I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. I'm not looking forward to it at all, but it might be amazing. Right? It might, nice warm beans on a couple of Weetabix biscuits. What's not to like? Yep. The new breakfast show. We'll see what it's like.
Nick, are you still there?
Yeah.
Nick,
yeah.
are you there?
Yeah.
Oh, no, there you're there. So
I am still here. If I can't hear you now, though, David. Hopefully the internet catches up with itself, or everyone's got so excited about Weetabix and beans that we're crashing the internet. Hey, Nigel, if you can hear me, can you just wave? Yeah, all right. Okay, David, if you can hear me, can you wave? All right. Anyway, next Thursday, 8 o'clock in the morning, we're going to do a breakfast show. Okay, for all sorts of funky reasons. Very excited about it. And part of that show will be this daft bloke Nick eating blooming Weetabix with baked beans on. Okay, so it looks like David's got too excited about that, or he's gone off with Richard to talk about some marketing plans. Great advice from Richard. Thank you very much. Well, it looks like I'm back in charge. Right? David's gone. I've been here before. Where's he gone? So let's enough of me. Let's get our guest on. I'm David's back. Oh my God. I was going to take over, mate. That's it. I was going to take over. Forget it.
I was getting worried, Nick, because I was going to leave you with a technical setup and anything happen on the show. I'm going to write to BT and tell them that from time to time these things happen, but they always make it happen during the most important times. A live broadcast out there. Anyway, so literally, as I was saying, next Thursday, 8 o'clock in the morning. Nick, you may have already just repeated this. Next Thursday, 8 o'clock in the morning, 8 till 9. Nick and I are going to be live doing the breakfast show. And just tune in if you've got to. Around about half time, around about 8:30, Nick is going to be enjoying his baked beans on his Weetabix. Cold or hot beans, Nick?
Hot beans and the Weetabix. That's the sort of guy I am.
Fantastic. Right. Well, look, the time has come. I think we should be bringing on our next guest. And, this is an honour, really, because this gentleman is not only doing great things for charity and running a very successful business, but when we did a bit of research, he's been rubbing shoulders with all sorts of famous people. And, for me, this was amazing. And we've got a few questions to be put into our next guest, but let's just see him in action before we bring him onto the stage.
Hello, Boise here. I'm with Nigel from Secret Hamper. Good luck with the NHS campaign, that's what I say, and I hope you're saying it too.
Cheers, Boise.
Let's bring on Nigel Richardson from the Secret Hamper. Welcome to UniEE TV, and thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. How you doing, Dave? How you doing, Nick?
Very good, thank you.
Good
Surviving the tech glitches, just about.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh dear. Well, hopefully,
great work with Boise, by the way.
He's a really good guy. Really good guy.
I need to ask some questions about this because I knew very little about this until David said, "Oh yeah, he mixes with everybody," and then started reeling off a list of people that you rub shoulders with, who are helping in the great work that you're doing. How did that come about?
Well, basically, I mean, when I started a hamper business, I just wanted to be a part of something that gave something back, and wanted to be a part of a movement, if you like, that advocated kindness. And I just didn't want to be a button on the internet where people went, right, I need to buy a gift, go on Amazon, press the button. It needed to be more than that. I wanted people to stop and think about what they were doing. We wanted to make a difference to the recipient. We wanted to make a difference to the sender. And wanted them to feel good about themselves. And I was all new to social media. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. Pre setting this up, my wife might be on Facebook, And I'd just say to her, why don't you pick up the phone and speak to somebody? You know, why are you using that kind of thing? I had no experience of it whatsoever. And then obviously I sort of jumped in with both feet and thought to myself, well, these guys, there's some guys out there that kind of resonate with me. I love Only Fools and Horses when I was growing up. We've got a fantastic video with Mark Hamill, aka Luke Skywalker. I grew up with Star Wars, that kind of thing. So when I sort of jumped into the whole sort of social media arena, I kind of, started to try and socially network, if you like, online with kind of these people and dip in and dip out of conversations. And it kind of went on from there, really. And I can't actually think how the Boise one sort of came about. But it started some sort of 4 years ago when he did a little video for us out of the blue, and which was a happy birthday. It's our first birthday, and he'd done this video for us, and in return, I kind of sent him a little secret hamper to say thank you, and we've been sort of pals ever since. So, and he's a very big advocate of our Thank You NHS campaign, which we launched back in July 2018. And he retweets on a regular basis for us, and he's just fantastic.
Now, don't undermine here. It's not just John Chalice, Mark Hamill. You mentioned Star Wars, Skywalker, Eddie the Eagle. In fact, can I share? I've got the clip because this is one of my favourites, and I've got the clip here. Can I just play this clip? This is brilliant.
I'm ready.
Hello, I'm Eddie. I want to thank Nigel and meeting Secret Hamper. Visit their website, secrethamper.com. Maybe I'll send one to Hugh Jackman. What do you think?
Yeah, really good idea. Just send him some new blades or something.
Yeah, I'll get his address. And I'll give you a ring.
Fantastic. Sounds good.
Absolutely brilliant. You've got Rick Stein, Joe Schwash. The list goes on. I've seen loads on there. It's amazing, how you've managed to get these people to, in a way, be an influencer for what you're doing, which you've done very successful. But take us back.
Go on.
Through the journey. Take us back through the journey a little bit. How did you get into, providing hampers? And we'll talk more about the NHS in a minute because there's a really good outcome out of that. But let's talk about how you turned it into a business itself.
Well, pre-Secret Hamper, I worked up in the city, worked in the money markets for a number of years. And then for the last few years, it just become unfulfilling. And pretty much ever since the financial crash of 2008, all the fun went out of it pretty much. And I was just sort of going through the motions. And it just dawned on me one day. I just thought, you know what, if I don't do something now, it's never going to happen. And I'm going to be sitting there, saying to myself, what if? And an opportunity came up for voluntary redundancy. I spoke to my wife and just said, look, it's now or never. And she said, well, look, I trust you, go for it. And I managed to take a few months off because I didn't want to sort of come out the frying pan back into the fire. So it was the summer months. We had the summer off. And then I was still kind of searching for what my niche was going to be or where I was going to go. But what I did fundamentally know was that I wanted to be able to make a difference. I didn't want to be one of these sort of nuisance callers or anything like that. I wanted to leave people with a joyful experience. And then I was watching an advert on the TV at Christmas time back in 2015, and it was where there's a co-op ad where a young guy goes to the freezer and there's nothing in there. So next clip, you see him go out onto the street and he sees his elderly neighbour across the road come out with a chopper on wheels and the pavement's all iced over. And they start playing the bolero music. And the old guy just sort of looks down at the pavement. Someone skates past, he shakes his head and goes back indoors. And then the youngster in the next scene is in the co-op. He remembers this guy, fills up a bag of groceries, and then goes back to the guy's house, rings the bell, leaves the bag on his doorstep and walks off. A bit like Knockdown Ginger in the old days. And that really resonated with me because earlier that summer, I'd done a little bit of work for our parish council. And I was supposed to be getting some signatures for our church rooms. And I come across this guy that was lonely. He was on his own. He hadn't really seen anyone for months. And he just wanted someone to talk to. So instead of coming away with like 30 or 40 signatures, I came back with one that day. But, I felt fulfilled and I just felt like I'd done this act of kindness. And this advert really reminded me of this guy. And I thought, my goodness, I've not seen that chap for like 4 months now. So I jumped in the car, went up to Tesco's, filled up a bag of goodies, and it was 12 minutes past 10 on the 23rd of December. I dropped this bag of goodies on his doorstep, rung the bell, and legged it back to the car, drove home, and I just felt alive. It's really difficult. But up until that point of leaving the city where, I had a function, I had a role, and, I wouldn't say I was important or anything, but I was part of the mechanics of it all. All of a sudden, I was there on my own, not knowing what to do. And the rest of my destiny, if you like, was down to me. In that moment, I just thought to myself, wow, wouldn't it be great if I could share this feeling I've just got with other people? Because I really feel good about myself right now. So because it was Christmas, and there's lots of talk of secret Santas, I thought, why don't we have a secret hamper that you could send somebody initially anonymously if you wanted to? That was the initial thought, and kind of go from there. So when we first started, I set up, we just had a range of boxes of everyday essentials that could make a difference to new parents, to students, to elderly neighbours, and so forth. But on looking around, I saw that in Essex, we produce quite a lot of good stuff. And I just thought, there's not one place you can go to buy all this kind of stuff. Why don't we put together like an Essex hamper? So we put together this like really nice range of Essex hampers and gift boxes and so forth, and kind of went from there. Because what was, even though the idea of being able to send something anonymously, 99.9% of people that have used our services, don't want to remain anonymous. But, they want to, share that act of kindness with the recipient. So I'd say at the moment it's probably, with our essential range, we probably do sort of 30% of our stuff, and it's the Essex range is probably sort of 70% of what we do with corporates. And especially this past year where there've been lots of sort of Zoom meetings and stuff, we've sent out lots of sort of party boxes and and things like that. But so it's I get an immense sense of pride when we find a new supplier and we get them out. We just found this fantastic guy or company called Tempered in Malden just before Christmas, and they'd only been going a few weeks, and I think we bought best part of 1,500 bars of their chocolate from them, and the guy was literally just blown away. He was working through the night kind of thing just to sort of keep up, and it's gave me a real buzz to know that we've inadvertently given them a little bit of a boost up the ladder through what we do.
I'm absolutely, Nigel, I'm absolutely loving this. There's a common theme that's run through every guest that we've had on the show so far. For whatever their background is, they've landed on something. They're now doing something that they love, and that thing is fun as well. It makes them feel good. Right? We've not had anyone on saying, "I'm just in it for the money." Give us all your money. It's been done for the right reasons. But I think you top the list, mate, of what great reasons to be in business, because the whole thing is designed to make people feel blooming marvelous.
Absolutely. I kind of turned it on its head in a little way, because obviously I've had a few people say to me, well, the whole philanthropy type thing's fantastic, but you need to be making money first. And I'm like, well, yeah, you're right, but hopefully that will come somewhere along the line. Because when you see some of those messages that come through, just for an instance, we had a care home hamper that we do. So that could be used in two instances. That could either be used to thank staff of a care home, especially over this past year if you haven't been out to see an elderly relative, and also to maybe send in to an elderly relative whose birthday it is and you just don't know what else to buy them. And all it is just a box of cake and biscuits. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that, right? And you can send that in, but it creates an event. So we had this lady that was in this care home, and she'd only been in there a short manner of time, and she'd basically lost her husband sadly after 50 odd years. The house had been sold and she'd been put into care, but she wouldn't come out of her room. Whether or not the care home orchestrated it that she won or not, I don't know. But the next bit that happened was quite magical, because she won this box of cake and biscuits, and it was a catalyst that got her to come out of her room, go down to the communal area, and she literally gave everything out to everyone that was sitting around. And it was a big icebreaker, it was a big moment for her. And she said, they phoned us up and said, do you want to come along and meet her? Went along, and she said, it saved my life, basically. She said, I was deteriorating at a rate of knots. I wouldn't eat anything. I was not interested in mixing with anyone. But that turned it around for me. And something as simple as that, it's like, wow, it's just, you just want to go on and do more and more of it.
Yeah, so let's talk a little bit more about that. We are kind of we've got about 5 or 6 minutes left, and I'm sure we can get this in and make the real big point here, because I think this is one of the biggest parts of your journey to date. It has been the NHS hampers that you provided, the NHS support, supporting all those fabulous doctors, nurses, saying thank you to the NHS. And tell us a little bit more about this. 100 hampers, and I know now you've got a new campaign that's just begun, but I'm not going to burst the bubble. I'm going to let you talk about 100 hampers and how that come to be, and how you've been supporting that over the last probably 12 plus months now, isn't it? If not longer.
Well, in fact, it started on July the 5th, 2018, the 70th anniversary of the NHS. There's a programme on the telly. Not that, I've got a reputation for watching loads of telly, but you do pick up inspiration from these things. And it was just a big hour-long special about the NHS and the whole background of it all. And there are two major instances in my life that I'm majorly thankful for the NHS. One was when, sadly, after a short illness, we lost my dad to cancer. We got that horrible phone call. We had to get to the hospital double quick, and we just missed him by a couple of minutes. And I can feel my legs going to jelly now, because running down that wall to try and get to where he was, just couldn't get there. My legs couldn't get me there quick enough. And when we got there, a nurse was there that held his hand. And so he wasn't alone when that happened. And, for that, I'll be forever grateful. And then on another occasion, when my wife gave birth to our third child, they had a really complicated childbirth, and it could have gone either way for both of them. It was that dangerous at one stage. We could have lost either one of them, and they both managed to pull through. And, you just can't put a price on that. So I just thought to myself, what can we do? We're a feel-good, random act of kindness business that uses hampers as a tool, if you like, or a vehicle. What could we do to encourage others to say thank you? Because there's lots of big companies out there that, they do these monumental gestures and millions of pounds and stuff, but there's lots of SMEs out there that want to be able to give, but are probably too busy running the day-to-day of their business to, allocate any time to doing that, or even know what to do, maybe. And, by signing the box and doing like a monthly check to somewhere and not really knowing where the money goes, then and I just thought, wouldn't it be great if we could, it's their 70th anniversary, if we could get 70 boxes at a time delivered to 70 hospitals, and the cost of the box be 70 quid. And, we use locally sourced products. So, I just thought that was really, quite powerful to support the local economy and local producers again. Treats that probably these guys in hospitals have never got to use before or experience within the vending machines of the hospital. And we kind of went from there. So as it stands currently, we've sent over 620 hampers out so far. Over 30,000 30,000 of these treats, and reached thousands of staff. Out of the 8 hospitals we've done Broomfield Hospital, Newcastle Hospital, Birmingham Children's Hospital, then we went back to Colchester, and then we've been from Colchester up to Manchester Hospital, and then we did Great Ormond Street, and last year we did a biggie for Captain Tom. I was so inspired by what he was doing, I put it out on our social media and said, look, it's phenomenal what this guy's done. Let's recognise what he's done and give something back to the guys on the front line, because raising money for charity, don't get me wrong, is very, very important. And, we do it ourselves, but sometimes you need to reach the person on the front line, that human being that's got those emotions and those feelings that are doing those kind of things that you and I in a million years would not want to be in that sort of situation. because that weighs down on their shoulders, and God knows what they've been through in this past year. So if we could just give them a little bit of respite and a little pat on the back, then happy days. So we put it out that we wanted to get 100 hampers sponsored in time for his 100th birthday. And we were gobsmacked. We smashed through that and managed to get 150 hampers sponsored in the time that we needed to order all the goods in. And so what we did on his actual birthday, we went to Bedford Hospital, delivered 100 that day, and then the following day was up to Harrogate and delivered the balance of 50 to Harrogate District Hospital. But with his daughter Hannah, when I met her back in May last year and presented them with the 100th hamper, and she was on Twitter recently and the breakfast show was just saying that they're launching hashtag Captain Tom 100. So I just thought, wouldn't it be great if we could replicate what we did last year? And on his 101st birthday this year, we're going to hopefully send 101 hampers into maybe a London hospital. And because his journey kind of started on Good Morning Britain and he was elevated on that show, I just thought, wouldn't it be really good if we could maybe send those 101 hampers into the hospital that's caring for Kate Garraway's husband, Derek, who, obviously she's a GMB presenter, and it all ties in quite nicely. So that's the challenge I set myself. I've got a hell of a long way to go because I only came up with it yesterday, and we've got 99 and a half hampers to go. So, so fingers crossed.
Yeah, and you don't give up. 101 hampers now is another challenge. So we're going to help a little bit here. Nick and I are, on behalf of UniEE TV, we're going to sponsor a hamper. We'll sort it out after the show, but it's another one to get you. So now you're kind of 98 and a half required. We're going to and hopefully people here, if they want to find out more, how can they sponsor a hamper? Quick and easy way, website?
Email me at nigel@secrethamper.com or on the website secrethamper.com/NHS-70. There is that tab that's on the website too that will show everything we've done on that to date so far. There's news clippings on there from Good Morning Britain, BBC and ITV newscasts on there and stuff like that. So it's all on there. And yeah, just hopefully we can get it to make it happen. And don't, as I say, we've still got another 62 hospitals nationwide that we want to fully complete. So, we have sent in this past year, we've sent about 50 odd hampers here and there to different places, and where people just said, look, I want to send it to a ward. So that's what we've kind of done. But there's nothing more special than when you turn up in the hamper van at a hospital and you're handballing 70 boxes out. And, I think it's on the ITV Granada video that they did. It looked like a Robert Palmer video kind of thing. All these girls walking along in black outfits, carrying a hamper box into the hospital. It's brilliant. And it just gives me it makes me well up a little bit when on the day, it's crazy. The day after a delivery, I'm knackered because it's just emotionally draining.
I can imagine. Nigel, it's an amazing job that you're doing.
Thank you.
And, as I say, we will shout about it. We will support. What we're doing is we're putting the links how people can reach out if they want to sponsor a hamper. We'll be in touch about sponsoring our hamper and helping you
so much
on that journey to getting to 101 hampers. So we wish you all the best with it. And we'll get you back. We'll get you back on the show. We say to everyone, we'll get you back on the show and we'll find out how 101, and then you'll be telling us we're going to do 102 and 103. But we will certainly support you through the journey.
Brilliant. Excellent.
Thank you very much for coming on today, sharing the journey.
Thank you very much for the invite. That's brilliant. Thank you so much. And good luck with your breakfast next week, Nick.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I'd rather be tucking into one of your hampers, mate.
Yeah. Well, I have to get Dave to let me know when your birthday is.
Bring it on.
I'll find out. I think he's 50 next year.
I'm always 50.
Thanks, Nigel. All the best. Brilliant. Oh, wow. What a story. Fantastic story.
Brilliant, mate. Brilliant. I just love this. Speaking of great people, great ideas, and why wouldn't you want to get involved? What a spread the good cheer and pay it back. Just brilliant. Really kind of inspiring stuff.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Well, what a hour it's been. exciting Richard Pond from Richard Pond Marketing, Nigel Richardson from the Secret Hamper. We've been talking about the easing of lockdown starting on Monday next week, and the return to non-essential retail, and hairdressers and salons opening, and the pub opening for those that are dying for a beer or a bit of out space time and stuff like that as well. But we have come to the end of the show, Nick. That's it. That's it this week.
Another show, mate. Another show done and dusted. I tell you what, we should do more. Let's do another one next week.
Let's do another one next week. But next week, remember, guys, 8 o'clock in the morning to 9 o'clock. We're going to do the early, the early morning show. For Mr. Pond, it's the early morning show, as he admitted he doesn't like getting up too early. But it's the breakfast show with Nick and Dave next week from 8 o'clock here on YouTube and on Facebook. Join us. And if you want to be part of the conversation, tune in, put your comments in the box, and, maybe come and join us on the show as well. We look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye-bye.